Hi everyone, Armored Pants here, and I have a new video for you. This one looking at the removal of missiles, the removal of ATGM from the game in 7.5, the next update, which is coming in early December. A few people asked for my opinion, so let's get into that. But before that, just a quick reminder that we recently opened up the Discord channel for this YouTube channel. I'm on there every day, as are some other YouTubers, as are lots of other players. So please come along. We discuss game, tank, tactics, a little bit of everything. So come along. You will be very, very welcome. So come join us, and there will be a link in the description. Now, with regard to my opinion on the removal of missiles, it could be pretty much summed up as follows. Because honestly, didn't really bother me that they were in the game. You know, look, guys, I did a review of the T92E1 and the Sheridan when they came out, right? And I said that, you know, these missiles were, you know, if you knew how to use them properly, were ridiculously OP, right? And I showed a few shots, right? One, when actually on a Sheridan, when he was trying to run away, and I just was able to track him and slap a big round into the back of him. Another one on a Chieftain that again was moving, jigging, and I was just able to put a round into him. And another one on when I was on Port Bay, and I was a mouse that I was able to drop missiles on from above, right? So definitely that's not fair. But look, I said my piece, said I didn't think that they should be in the game, and I didn't like them in the game. I said they were great fun, of course, but I didn't like them in the game because I think it made it a bit imbalanced. But then that was it, right? Forgot about it, moved on, and just continued to play the game. Since then, they nerfed them a bit, made them even more difficult to pen. So honestly, most players miss more than they hit with these things, or definitely a 50 to 60% pen rate with these things is really, really good. So, you know, I said my piece, I moved on, and I did lots and lots of videos on tier 9 and tier 10 tanks since then, and it didn't really bother me. I hardly even noticed, because I think I'm a normal, rational person, right? This is just a fucking pixelated tank game, right? And if there's something you don't like, okay, so what, right? So, you know, then I had the same reaction when I heard they're being removed, right? I read it and I went, okay. And then I went downstairs and I made my son his favourite meal, which is egg and a hat, right? By the way, if you're interested, I can tell you what that is, but yeah, you may not be. But basically it's an egg in a hat, which is pretty cool. Now, by the way, if you've never had it before, it's something I actually kind of invented for the kids. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. I like cooking, by the way. It helps me relax. And speaking of relaxing, you know, not that I need to do too much, I'm a fairly relaxed person anyway. You know, this whole thing about the missiles, some people, I mean, just had an adverse reaction to this. And honestly, you'd think you told them that they were going to lose a limb or some fucking thing. I mean, like, this is a pixelated tank game, right? If you look at, it's not important in the world at any time, but particularly at the moment, right? The fucking world is on fire. We've got fucking global pandemic, 1.5 million people dead, fucking almost 60 million people infected. Even with news about vaccines, it's still going to be another year or so before shit gets back to normal. Economies are collapsing, people are losing their jobs. We've got fucking overpopulation on the planet, fucking starvation, floods, famine, fucking hurricanes, you fucking name it. So, you know, fucking missiles in a game, so fucking what, right? I mean, I have people say I'm never playing this game again. I'm fucking, like, if introduction of something to a pixelated tank game is such a big deal for you, you need to get psychological help because there's something fucking seriously wrong, right? I mean, who fucking cares? And honestly, I didn't even once I got used to them being there, I hardly even noticed, right? And when I was shooting tier 10, tier 9 footage for reviews and that, most times, particularly if you're in a heavy tank, when somebody fires a missile at you now, you hear it coming, it's so fucking slow, you move a little bit, and most of the time it doesn't even pen, right? Of course, when it pens, it's a bit frustrating, especially if you can't see the guy firing at you. But okay, it's there. Don't like it, but it's not going to make me feel like I can throw my toys out of the pram. It reminds me of when I was a kid, right? That you know, whatever game you played, I played soccer, you know, football. You know, one kid would bring along the ball, right? Sometimes if you're really lucky, you might have goalkeeping gloves. But then when things weren't going his way, he used to take his ball and go home, right? And that's kind of what it was like with a lot of people, like you know, and it's the same regardless of where you live. You go in the US, it's probably a basketball or American football or baseball or whatever, right? You know, or tennis rackets, whatever, right? One kid had them, things weren't going his way, he said, "Oh fuck this, I'm taking my ball and going home." And that's kind of what it's like, you know, when you're like, you know, and then people are saying, "Oh, you know, do you not care?" Not really, no, I don't, because there's other shit going on in the world. And even if there wasn't other shit in the world was perfect. Oh, when that fuck that is ever going to be, I've no idea. I also wouldn't care, because, you know, I think I'm a normal, well-balanced person, and, you know, playing a pixelated tank game, I like it and I enjoy it, but at the end of the day, it's just a fucking game, isn't it? It makes no fucking substantial difference to my life, nor should it make to anybody's life. It's again one of the reasons I don't rage and stuff like that. It's just pointless, you know. But, you know, it's coming. I think it's a good thing, right? Don't get me wrong. I think it is good they're being removed, right? Because, you know, but there's a couple of things I'd like to say about that, right? Firstly, before we get into the specifics, right? So basically, the tank is not being removed completely, right? It's going to be available in training rooms and for things like mad games, gravity mode, and stuff like that, right? And you're going to get this if you have the Sheridan researched. You don't have to have the tank. All you have to do is have it researched. You get this tank for free. I wouldn't sell it, by the way, because you only get 5 gold if you sell it, so keep it, because it is good fun tank. And those of you who have the Sheridan in your garage are going to get a new tank, which is going to be basically the same, but it's just going to have heat instead of the missiles, right? Now, and there's going to be some other camos there. So, for example, there's going to be this ice comet camouflage, missile man medal, and if you played more than 700 games in either of the missile tanks, you can get this ATGM master avatar, right? Again, yeah, nice to have, big fucking deal. Who fucking cares? I mean, camo's just camo, isn't it? But here's the thing about it, right? For the moany ass bitches out there who always have a fucking problem with everything, right? And moaning and complaining about the missiles and all this shit, right? What most of them are really complaining about is the fact that they think it's giving other players an unfair advantage that allows them to win more, right? And they don't like that. It's the same reason that Death Star got nerfed and all of this, because there's too many people, as Blade said, trying to motherfucking ice skate uphill. Moany ass bitches have nothing else to do except fucking complain about fucking everything, right? If those people think that the removal of missiles is going to make the Sheridan or the T92E1 less competitive, they are seriously wrong. In fact, in my opinion, it is going to have the opposite effect, because now, instead of a gun system that misses half the time or doesn't pan half the time, you've got a gun system which is going to pan all the fucking time, and you've got good players playing who are now experienced with and are going to have a direct heat shot which is going to go through. It's going to have 310 millimeters of pen as well on both tanks, and it's going to do something like 390 damage or something like that, right? So if you think if it's going to do 490 alpha damage, so if you think that these tanks are going to be less competitive, you've got another fucking thing coming. In fact, I think they're going to be even more competitive, right? So, you know, I think, in a way, I've been a schadenfreude about that. I think it's great because, all the moany ass people out there do nothing but fucking complain are going to get a nasty shock, because I think these tanks are going to be even more OP than they are now. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on all of this bullshit. But overall, couldn't really care less, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's good, but is it going to make any difference to me as a person? No. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Cheers, Mush. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful. And I guess now all remains for me to say is, pants off.
That's all, folks.